I always wondered about you because I've known you and we've been friends for a long time, but I've known you really on a professional level. We've never been the type to, hang out and, barbecue or stuff like that. Once in a while, we have done that on occasion, but with in a group setting and stuff like that. But I've always wondered, I know you hired me to, you didn't hire me. Actually, I went and I emceed yours. What was it? What birthday?
My 70th birthday
70th
roast. I think I've been the only roasted birthday party ever in the history of the valley that I know of.
Yeah. And how long ago was that?
That was 2.5 years ago. It's going to be 3 years.
So you're 72 and a half, man.
72 and a half, man. And working out.
No, hey, let me tell you, Nano, you look great for your age, man. My dad's 75. He looks great as well. 70s isn't bad at all anymore, man. I mean, I think we're ready to live to 100, man. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
And put a lot more notches on the belt. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I had to go back to working out again.
Yeah. So 72. So you were born in what year were you born?
45.
45, and here in McAllen.
Yeah. Yes, McAllen.
McAllen. Was it the hospital downtown McAllen, or was it at a house, or what?
No, where the McAllen City Hall is.
Uh-huh.
That used to be McAllen Hospital.
Yeah, because my little brother was born there also, man. So that hospital was there back in the 40s, huh?
Back in the 30s or 20s.
Yeah.
Back then.
Wow. And when you were born, was your dad and your mom? What was your dad doing? I mean,
my father, in 45, he started this. He used to sell furniture in Mission, and then at the same time he was a radio DJ and used to book. He came up with something that nobody had ever done. He would buy time in Reynosa at a radio station, like for 4 hours. Then he would come and sell advertisement, and he would be the DJ and he would pay so much for those 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then he started, before he became KGBT Radio in Harlingen.
Yeah.
I think it was KGBS. He started doing the same thing. Doing the chorus at that time, that's when he, in 1948, in the living room of our house, he recorded his first record, or Falcon Records was born.
Wow.
In 504 Doherty, Mission, Texas.
And what year was that?
1948.
1948. So your dad then was somewhat of a pioneer in radio as well. Then.
He was pioneer in radio.
You see, that's something I never knew. You know, I never knew he was part of the radio.
And what he was doing, buying radio time, and then he was DJing and selling his own commercials.
Yeah, entrepreneurial. In that matter. So you grew up through the 50s and your teen years.
I remember when I was about 6, 7. My father, back then there was no recording tape. Didn't exist. So I'm privileged enough to go from that pre-tape to all the way up to 24 digital recording, our recording studio. But we started. It used to be it's called an acetate. It's a platter. And you would record on that platter. You make a mistake, you have to throw that platter. It used to be real expensive to record back in the days. After you recorded the platter, send it to California, and that you would do side A, side B, and then they would press your records, your 78s. Back then, there were only 78s. 45s didn't exist. Long plays didn't exist. So I grew up through that era, which I feel real fortunate. But what I started is my father used to have an L-Tech. I'm still looking for it. I think it's in the Mission Library. It's a long microphone used to put in the middle of the living room.
Yeah.
And the band and my father with earphones used to set up all the band equipment around.
Yeah.
He used to tell the drummer, play a little louder, play a little softer. The bajo sexto, cercate.
Yeah.
And the singer, get closer to the mic. One mic.
Yeah.
Right? But it would pick all the noise around. So my father used to make me go to the street and give him the signal that there's no cars coming. Because the street back then was gravel also, and hardly any traffic back in the 40s. So I said, "Apá, no carros." Tell the band.
Record.
Record, man.
You know what, Ruben Vela, one time I spoke with Ruben Vela, que en paz descanse, and he mentioned how they recorded that way, that they would put a microphone in the middle of the room and they would set up around there, and then they would record. That's how they recorded albums. So your dad, the record company he started out of the house, in what year again was it?
1948.
1948.
Went for 40 years.
And you were 3 years old. 3 years old, something like that. 4? Yeah. And so you went through the teen years were early 60s, man. You were going through the Elvis thing and all that. When you went to school here in McAllen?
I was in Our Lady of Guadalupe, Mission.
Our
Lady of Guadalupe Elementary School. I remember Elvis Presley, I think, came out in 57, 58.
Buddy Holly.
Richie
Valens.
That era. And I'll never forget Elvis Presley. Go see him at the Palace Theater in McAllen. They had a big, huge cardboard image of Elvis in top of the marquee in downtown McAllen.
Yeah.
I think it was 1957.
57, so you were about 13 years old. You were getting into your teen years, man.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. No, I think, let's see. Then it was earlier because I was in
55,
elementary school. I was still in elementary school.
Might have been between 50 and 55 then. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Because you were 45 and then 55, you're 10. And so 57, you'd be 12.
Yeah.
You'd be getting into your teen years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you got into the early 60s, you were.
Well, I started playing also piano.
Yeah.
I played piano 7 years. And then and then when I was in high school, I just didn't like piano. I always wanted to play in the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered a record, how to play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 months later, I had my own band with 5 neighborhood guys from the same block and a half. Created the first band. And 3 months later, I was playing my first gig, man.
What year was that?
1964.
64?
The year I graduated from high school.
And what songs were you all playing? Were you all playing English, Spanish?
All English stuff. We had to learn 3 or 4 Spanish songs because Leo, I don't know if you remember the legendary mayor of La Jolla, James Leo. They booked us to play for his anniversary. And I don't think he knew what kind of music we played. So I says, hey, man, we're going to have to play some norteños or something, man. So one of the songs we played was the Pérez Prado Patricia. Because I was the only band. Back then, the bands like Sonny and Sunliners, Lil Joe, Nano Ramirez, all those bands used to have just sexes.
Yeah.
There were no trumpets in the bands, in the original Tejano bands. And so I had a band that had a trumpet. And at the end of the era, the 2 years of my band, I had three saxophones. One of my singers there at the second phase of my band is Eddie Perez, the old
the singer,
singer. So he was my lead singer, and he also was one of my alto sax. So I had 3 saxes, a trumpet. We ended up playing in San Antonio. Matter of fact, when I left for the Navy in 1960, that's the reason my band didn't continue. I had a hit record in the West Coast called Chapala Theme Song.
Can we find that song on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
you
we'll
go Chapala Beach Boys, Chapala Theme Song.
And that was the name of the band, Chapala Beach Boys?
Well, my father changed the name from The Unknowns because recording in Falcon Records, Discos Falcon, he says, nobody's going to know what the Unknowns is, you know, so you got to give. At that time, the Beach Boys were kind of hot.
Big,
We're real big. So he said, hey, we're going to call you
surfing music and stuff.
So my father took a picture of us in the studio and then put a background, a picture of Chapala Lake from Mexico.
Yeah.
That's where Chapala came from. Anyway, going forward, I had a hit. My father had the tour for us for 3 months, 4 months. But I already had used up I was in the Naval Reserve, so I had used up all my affirmatives to continue college. So he said, no more, you have to come active. So I went active, got stationed in Panama.
What year was that you got active?
1968.
1968?
No, I went active in 1966.
66, that's the year I was born.
66.
So then...
Ya estaba haciendo mañas.
When you... Before you started the band, you had already been in the service, or
the reserves.
The reserves.
I had joined in '63.
Okay.
So they was getting deferment, so I could still go to Pan Am. You know, the VA was paying for my education.
Yeah.
So after 2 years, I can't issue more.
And what were you studying at Pan Am? What was your
business?
Business.
Mm-hmm.
And so 66.
I got stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and then my second home. 6 months in Norfolk, 6 months in Panama City, Canal Zone. From there, I was a ship's interpreter. I had a rank where I operated the ship's office. At the end of the year, I was the leading non-officer that actually ran the ship. Not only being the ship's interpreter, a ship's pilot, I was the captain's right-hand person, secretary, because since I played the piano, I was a very good typist.
Yeah,
And since our Falcon Records, we had distribution in Central and South America. And so in Panama, I used to go to the record shop to see if I find any Falcon Records.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have it. I have a book, and I found me a hit parade of 5 countries in Central America. And I find my hit song, my band, number 4 in Costa Rica, and like numbers 20 in Venezuela.
Wow.
And I'm here in the record shop. That's me, man. That's me, man.
Yeah.